Hey, Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Hi, good to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you on. Tell us who you are, what you do.
I'm Jennifer McPherson. I am the owner of Chickenango Marketing Solutions. We are a very niche marketing agency where we provide public involvement and marketing services such as website design and branding for private engineering, construction, and oil and gas clients, in addition to providing public outreach and engagement on DOT, local agency, and federal government projects.
Awesome. And how'd you get started in the agency life?
I worked for 27 years for engineering companies, providing marketing inside of engineer companies. And almost 7 years ago, being May this year, 7 years ago, I decided that I needed a change of direction and I wanted to do my own agency where I could really hyper focus on that industry. And so I left that world and started Chickenango.
Awesome. And when did I know we were talking kind of the pre-show, and obviously I know your story quite a bit. When, there's a lot of agencies that, we start by accident, or, we wanted to get rid of kind of the corporate mentality and kind of start our own thing. When did you realize that you had a real business? Because there's a lot of, like, I remember when I was creating my agency for many years, I was like, this is just a side hustle, even though it was full time. And I was like, after a couple of years, I was like, man, this is actually a real business.
Yeah. Yep. I would probably say that I came to that realization um, when I started getting employees. I mean, as simple as it seems, it when you're when you leave something to start your own company, basically you know how to do a thing, and then you decide I'm going to take that thing and I'm going to start my own company, and you do that, and you're doing the thing in your company, and then you don't you don't really know the whole business side
Mhm.
so much, and you start to learn it and start to realize, wow, this is more than just doing this thing. It's just working on and running a company. And then, getting employees was a big part of that. Was, oh, how do I hire employees? I don't know how to hire. What are the rules behind that? Like those kinds of things that you make you really realize, wow, this is a legit business. And people are also now relying on this company and continuing. And so that was a huge aha moment where you just thought, "Oh, I need to
Yeah.
I need to keep working hard."
There's always a when there's always a couple pivots that people do when they're running their business, when they're running their agency. What was a pivot was that made a difference for your agency, and what made you make that pivot or that realization to pivot?
Um, I would say probably about a year and a half ago, I probably like a year and a half ago, I really realized that I mean, we were doing great, but there's it was a struggle for me because I didn't really know anyone in the agency space at all. No one. I knew no one. I didn't know anyone that had a business. I felt very alone on an island. And that was a first pivot for me. And that was really trying to find a tribe that I can attach myself to and learn from. And I mean, honestly, that's where I found you, Jason, through Elevate. But that pivot has really changed the way that my company operates, in that I now have a COO. We have a bunch of systems. I've come outside. I've been less in the business and more on the business. And so it's been a huge differentiator and pivot for me in this past year and a half in terms of the company. The second big pivot that I've had to do in the last year has been um, trying to, our services are 90% public involvement on governmental infrastructure type projects, and there's not reoccurring revenue. So it's project by project basis, which is a very difficult model to sustain because you're always chasing that next project. Your growth is dependent upon the hours that people can bill within your company. And so that without having that reoccurring revenue or it stifles your growth. And so for me, that was a humongous pivot this year that we've been working towards getting more of the recurring revenue versus project by project basis type work.
Yeah, it's our agency, like I was telling you, is it was about 80% project work. And the rest was reoccurring. And if you don't have a pipeline, built up, or the constant thing that I would run into, in the beginning and the middle, not the end, because I kind of started figuring things out a little bit more, right? It was, I would focus on business and then I would focus on delivery of that business I just sold because we sold the bunch, right? Because whatever you focus on, you usually go to, and the funny thing is it's so true. When I would teach people how to race cars, I'd be like, look, if we start spinning out, I don't want you to look at the thing you were trying to avoid. I want you to look where you're actually trying to go.
Mm.
And almost every time we'd start spinning out, they'd look at the wall. I'm like, don't look at the wall. You're going to hit, we're going to hit the wall. And it's the same thing kind of in the agency. So like when I would focus on sales, we get a lot of sales. Then I'd focus on operations and then, right, we'd focus on operations. And then 3 months later, sales went down. And it was this constant roller coaster that, really just drove me crazy. And then finally I was like, look, I got to create some kind of system that doesn't involve me in all this, right? Kind of
Mhm.
going back to what you were saying is like kind of stepping out of, you know, uh, being in the business and just working on the business, which is really kind of what my goal of doing the podcast and doing the mastermind and all this is really going like, I saw a LinkedIn post I commented on yesterday on LinkedIn. I probably shouldn't have, but like you see this comment and you're like, and it was this agency owner and he basically, and someone told me in the mastermind, Brandon was telling me about this because he commented and it was this is a kind of angry agency owner going like, no one should ever create an agency. It's the worst agency model ever. You don't make any profit. And then Brandon, who commented, was like, well, my agency's doing great. And I'm 50%, margins on net.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you must be ripping people off. And so then I commented and I literally was like, just because you didn't figure it out yet doesn't mean it's not possible.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Mhm.
kind of like the 4 minute mile.
Yeah.
Right. No, everyone thought that was unattainable. And then as soon as one person broke it, everyone else followed suit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I I am a very mostly positive person. I don't like to sit in dwell for long periods of time. I think that, to publicly say how awful it is claiming defeat to me.
Yep.
I think we all have moments where we feel that way, but you just have to be able to pick up your bootstraps and just pivot or, take a breath or ask somebody for advice, or educate yourself more on what it is you're doing currently and how you can change it and how you can improve it. I don't like giving up. So,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, the thing is like, I always tell everybody is you have to be really honest with yourself, but also honest with the people that are in your circle,
Mhm.
right? Because doing it like you mentioned, like doing it alone, that is like, and this particular gentleman was probably doing it alone,
Yeah.
right? And he was just
Mhm.
like, I can't do it. And I've always been looking for my own tribe for what I do. I've been struggling for years and years. I still haven't found my own tribe on that, which is very difficult. I'm very blessed and happy that I have an amazing team that I can rely on and they could call me on my bullshit,
Yeah.
right? Um, but it's very aggravating where you can't find a place where you can go, hey, dude, I want to give up.
Yeah.
Like, could we all go through that moment? Like, screw it. I get conversations all day long, like, hey, Jason, I just want to sell this damn thing. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to do it anymore. I'm like,
Oh, I
well,
know. I
yeah.
remember,
Well,
yeah, it's
it,
hard.
and the thing you got to ask yourself, like when I ask a lot of people, I go, well, if you if I had a magic wand and I can fix this one thing that's giving you issues, would you still sell it?
Yeah.
And
And it's
almost
no,
everyone's like, no.
no, no. And it's not even I think that I don't know, I think this year has been an amazing year for us and for my company. It's been an amazing year to, um, connect and educate for myself and like figuring out how do I grow the company, and that's not me. That's not all me. That's been like being a part of this tribe has been significant in me understanding the bigger picture
Yeah.
of of not only my company but just business in general and agencies in general. And I think um not a lot of times I'm very competitive, as I'm sure a lot of people are, and I compare a lot to other people and I don't have the full story. So none of us have the full story. So
Well,
when you're looking at another agency and you're not comparing apples to apples. You have no idea, but you're still like in competition. Like I feel competitive, like, oh, how are you doing so well? And I don't know, like, so for me, I think this year has been an amazing year of growth for me personally and education and for my company. So it's been amazing. I'm very pleased with this year.
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is people that are successful, they gotta kind of see what's possible. But like you said, nothing's ever what it seems. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the duck on the pond, right? Like
Mhm.
those ducks look pretty calm and collective, but if you got goggles and dove down, you'd see their little feet go, like
Yeah.
really, really quick. And sometimes people are ahead of you, right? And that's the thing. I was, I've come to this realization, right? Like I used to think, and you find out your friends and
Yeah.
in your close group when things go shitty, right?
Yeah.
So, when things go shitty, it's the people that are there for you, but they don't ever expect anything in return,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I have a couple close, very knit friends where we celebrate each other's wins.
Mm.
Like we're happy for them,
Yeah.
right? Like, and and you should be happy for people rather than going, that should be me because I'm
Yeah.
working hard. Just because you work hard doesn't mean you should get it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
But
exactly.
but if you prepare yourself, right? Like I tell people, they're like, well, how'd you sell your agency? I'm like, I worked my ass off. I
Yeah.
was really lucky and I was around really cool people,
Yeah.
right? Those three stars have to align.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
I worked really hard and was around cool people and I wasn't lucky, that wouldn't happen.
Mhm.
But you have to enjoy that journey, right? Like after I sold the agency, I was depressed because
You're like, "What do I do?"
I didn't have that team that we would go to battle and we
Yeah.
compete and win, right? Like people all think about the end goal. But I'm like, man, what are you going to do? Like if you want to sell your agency, unless you know exactly what you want to do next, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I mean, I recognize myself, like, even if I sold this agency tomorrow, I would be my family would hate me because I would not know what to do and I'd be in everyone's business and like, because I can't just sit idle. I have to my mind is always going and I need something. I need to know. I need something to do constantly. So I think, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I knew I missed it, right? Like kind of what you're alluding is like, you gotta be you just can't sit there and do nothing. I
Mm-mm.
thought when I sold the agency, I was like, cool. I'll go fish every day, I'll go run, I'll go ride bikes. But doing that by yourself is freaking boring.
Yeah.
And then you don't have that sense of accomplishment anymore.
Yes.
You experience this really high, you're at the top of the mountain by yourself, but then you realize it's cold as hell, it's windy up there, everyone else is way down having fun, and you're way up there and you're like, "Man,
Yep.
I
I
gotta
know.
I gotta do something else." And, it's just but it's I really looking back, like, and I remember people, that I knew that sold their company and they're like, they would kinda say the same thing. I'd be like, "Yeah, you're full of shit." Right?
Yeah.
You're
Right.
saying, "Don't make decisions based on money because you have money and you can do that." But
Yeah.
honestly, when I was lucky enough to have some money and I didn't have to make decisions on money, I actually made more money.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I'd believe that. I believe that. I think I don't know, I like winning. You know, I like winning, but I like all the things that get me to that winning point, all
Yes.
the strategy, all the relationship building, like all the connections. So winning is not just luck, it's all about all the back end stuff that you have to do in order to get to that winning seat at the table.
Mhm.
I love all that stuff. I love talking to people. I love building relationships and um, I love um, unseating the competition.
Mhm.
I mean, I like I always say our unspoken motto is work like you give a shit. And all of our team works like they give a shit and it shows. And
Mhm.
it drives me crazy because in a lot of governmental type work, there's a lot of complacency
Oh,
and
it's like molasses trying to get those idiots out of
yes,
there sometimes.
and I can't stand that. I can't stand like here's the bar right here and we can come right to here but we're not going to go any not even a micro inch above that of that bar and the bar is pretty low. And so, for me, I can't stand that. And so that's probably where my competition comes in. I just am like, okay, we're just going to get in there and we're going to do the things that are right. We're going to do the things that are best for the project and for the public because, especially like public engagement, it's all about like educating and teaching people and I take that very seriously. So, I don't know,
Well,
I'm
it's the same thing, right? Like I always talk about it in the community is like there's some people that just do just enough,
yeah,
just just to not get fired,
you're right.
right? Like we've always been looking for a marketing person for years,
Mm, yeah,
and finally I was like, well, I'm going to hire an agency, and then we hire another agency, and they just do enough,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's hard to find someone to give a shit like you were
yeah,
talking about.
yeah. Yep, it
'Cause
is.
they want it the easy way. Like,
I know.
I did a call this morning. So someone sent me an email yesterday, and it said something like, "We can produce," because I'm always building the pipeline and finding different channels. And so I got the email, it said something like, "We can guarantee you 100 clients in 90 days, or you don't pay us, and I'll give you 5,000 for wasting your time. So I'm like, that is the best offer I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hell yeah, I'll jump on a call with you.
Yep.
Jump on a call. Oh, well, you don't qualify for this part. I'm like, okay, but you have to do this. And if you do it for 6 months and you do exactly what we say, and I was like, no, 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 no. Like
No.
I could see the trap. And
Yeah.
then they were like, well, I learned this from so and so. So what did I do? I booked a call with that company and I was like, I want to see this. And it's the snake oil stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, guys, like,
I
you
can't
know,
stand that.
yeah, it drives me nuts.
I know. Me too. You don't, and I think like when you start a company, it's your it's your name behind it.
Hmm.
Like you're initially the name behind the company. And of course, as you grow, you become a little bit not quite as visible, but it's still your name and
Yep.
your reputation. And like I never want anyone to think, oh, though, Chickenango, they just didn't perform for us or they didn't put it all out on the table. I feel slighted or I just don't want to ever, I don't ever want to be that company. I don't live my life that way. I don't want my kids to watch me act that way. Like you just gotta be in the world like you give a shit, not just work like you give a shit, but act in the world like you care. And I think uh, you'll do great things in the world if you act that way.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, Jennifer, this has been great. I appreciate you sharing your story, you're sharing your pivot. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the listeners listening in?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think just to me, just if you're ever out there and you decide that you want to start a company or you're in a company, I mean, you own an agency and you feel like you're out there on a island. I mean, I read every book and I read, meaning I listened to every book in the universe on business and motivation and all kinds of things. But finding an actual tribe is probably your next step if you feel like you're alone on an island because nobody should be. You need people around you, need people who are further along in their journey than you are that you can learn from. It's going to be hard to get from A to B if you have no idea what what level B is going to be like for you. And I think just surround yourself with people who are better than you and you will go really far.
Awesome. Well, Jennifer, thanks so much for coming on the show. And everyone listening, if you guys are trying to find your tribe, we'd love to invite you to check us out. You go to agencymastery.io and just click apply and let's have a conversation. If we feel you're right for the community, we'll invite you. If we have a better resource for you, we'll point you, even if that's not us. So, make sure you go to agencymastery.io. And until next time, have a swank day. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you want more content like this, make sure you click on the link on the screen or check out your most popular podcast platform where the full episode is there. And until next time, have a swank day. What are you doing? Go check it out. Click on the link. I'll see you soon.